further ado, look at it.
How did I get here? What am I doing at this point in my life? Is this really where I want to be? And if I were to die tomorrow, would I be happy with the life I'm living today? Those were the questions I started asking myself. It was 11 years ago. I was at my corporate apartment in Chicago. I lived in Milwaukee, and I received a phone call that a friend of mine from Marion, since 5 years old, had died. He had a motorcycle accident, he had died. And in that moment, I was struck not only by the mourning of his death, he's remained one of my closest friends, but really that it was this realization of my own mortality, that you really can die tomorrow. And if that were true, that I could get hit by a truck tomorrow, as he actually did on his motorcycle on Memorial Day weekend, heading up north in Wisconsin on a country road, then what was I doing today? At the time, my life was a struggle. I was a top executive in a corporation in Chicago. I lived in a beautiful home in Milwaukee. I had a good-looking boyfriend. So from the outside, I looked like I had it all, right? I had the home, the career, I had, partnership, but inside, I was really struggling. And in that moment, I thought, what is it all about? And my story is not unique, right? So many people are finding that as they rise higher in business, they're trying to stress accompanies that. And other areas of life tend to suffer as we rise higher. So then we may do things like even stop ourselves from rising higher on this path to greater success. But I did something different. I then changed my life. I literally left my company, left the country, left the boyfriend, and I traveled. I took a year off of work. I traveled around the world for about 9 months, spending a month in different countries over 3 different continents, and I studied. I studied different cultures and different ways of living and Eastern philosophies on health. And as I came back, I reinvented my life. However, that was 11 years ago. And over these past years, I also made several painful, costly errors along the way, not knowing how to do both. So today, I'm going to share with you what I've learned, and I'm going to give you a 4-step process that we can practice together while you enjoy your lunch, that will give you concrete steps that you can take in your life right now to make a difference. And what it's really about is changing habitual thought patterns and really being able to know that I believe that you can rise higher in business and still maintain fulfillment in all aspects of your life. So over the next 30 minutes now, or maybe less, we'll see, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I'm going to give you those 4 steps. So the first step is actually something that I handed out to you called the life wheel, or the wheel of life. And what this is about is really doing an evaluation of where life is at right now. So it's gaining this clarity to take the time and do the work on yourself and look at your life just like you would in your business, which many of you, I'm sure, do forecasting and do analysis of industry trends, look at your business, where it's at now, where you want to go, where you want to grow in sales and revenue, and what you're going to do to strategically to make that happen. But how often do we do this in our life? So to take the time to look at this wheel of life, and if you want to take a moment now, you can, to make confidential marks in each area, or you can just look it over and consider. I think yours is under here. I'm checking on you. I'm sure you're doing your work. Just kidding. So,
I need to be checked on.
yeah. So you just, if you want, I'll give you a second to kind of look it over as we continue to talk. It may be helpful. were to connect the dots, you might see if your wheel is a small wheel or a large wheel, and if it's balanced or not balanced, right? So eventually, to have the smoothest ride, we want a balanced, larger wheel.
So they could all be one, but they need to at least be balanced.
Could be. One of my current clients, Jerry, he owns the largest manufacturing company of his kind, of his niche in Green Bay. And we did this exercise. He actually saw a small group presentation that I did, and he booked a call with me, Live Your Dream Life call, I call it. And then we decided to work together. He became a client. And very quickly, these were the words he said to me. He said, Tara, I can't believe I've been doing this in my business for over 20, 30 years, but I've never considered doing this in my life. And it's really looking at your big picture plan of what you want to create in your life overall, just like you would do in your business, and really looking at the wheel of life and saying, what can I do? The areas that aren't where you want them, like what steps could you take and what could you do to make changes in your life? And it starts with this, right? This awareness, shining the light of awareness on life and where it is now and seeing what you really want. So now Jerry is actually building up his business. We've set up his year so he can plan in what he wants throughout his year to create more fulfillment as he continues to rise in business. And he's even planning his exit strategy with figuring out how he wants to live. So with that, this awareness and doing this kind of work, it is important to take some time because your life's worth it and you're worth it. So going on to step 2 in the process, if you would join me, I'd like to give you another little exercise that you can do, no writing or pens needed. But if you wouldn't mind, just sit up in your chair nice and tall for a moment and close your eyes. Take a big breath in. Exhale. Breathe in again. Exhale, just find some relaxation, find some ease, and be here in this moment. Nothing you have to do but be here and breathe. And together, we're going to do a little time travel. So I want you to travel forward in your life. You're amazing, fulfilled, beyond your wildest dreams life, and it's your 90th birthday. And there's a celebration going on. And at your celebration, your heart is full. Because you are so proud of the life that you have lived. So look back on your life now, at 90. Notice what accomplishments you were most proud of. What is it that really mattered in your life as you look back? What did you create? What legacy did you live? How will people remember you? I urge you to consider the different aspects of your life, how you're feeling physically at 90, and your most amazing, highest potential being. Where family is, how your career changed and evolved. And the security you feel in knowing you lived life exactly the way you wanted according to your terms. with that, you can slowly come back into this year, 2019. We're coming back into the room. Open your eyes as you're ready.
You need sunglasses now.
How was that, anyone? Did anyone have a surprising experience? Share if you want. You don't have to. Did anyone find it enlightening or enjoyable even?
Enjoyable.
Good, good.
I was surprised I'm still there at 90.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you another story about my client Andrea. She is a doctor, and she also saw a presentation I did and booked a call, and we decided to work together. And when Andrea did the Wheel of Life, she realized that she loved her work and she was doing really well in her work, but some other areas of her life were really suffering, and her health wasn't where she wanted it, and her weight wasn't where she wanted it, and she kind of, she left it at that point. And then we went on later in our work together, and we actually did this exercise of looking at her 90th birthday, amazing, and it was really eye-opening for her, because what she realized was that all of the actions she was taking in her life now, not all, but many of the actions were not in alignment with the potential, higher potential life that she wanted to live later on, and what she wanted to create in her life. Like, she wasn't doing anything to actually get to the point that she really wanted to be at, besides some of the things in her career. So with that, together we developed strategies and daily habits and ways that she could live a little different. She started changing her morning routine, for example, where she would, instead of wake up and be busy and stressed and have everything going on, that she would create time for meditation in the morning. She started looking at her relationship with her husband and how some changes she wanted to make in that, and how that mattered, and how she would show up in a different way, not always expecting something of him and how he would be in the relationship and want him to be, but she really took responsibility for herself and how she wanted to live her life, how she wanted to show up in her relationships. And it can be really powerful to just take a few moments, a few minutes to say, what do I want to create in my life? What do I want to create in this relationship? And who do I need to be to show up and make that happen? Not the other person, not an expectation. So with that, I really watched Andrea change, and not only did I watch, but her partner, her husband, and her family, and even one of her patients said, whatever you're doing, something's working, you seem more calm, more happy, and more lit up inside. So it's just so the moral of the story is, it's just taking some of this time and really recognizing, like doing the work of recognizing where you want to be and what you're doing now. And sometimes we get so caught up in our habitual way of doing things every day that it becomes like such a routine when you're busy in your life of work. And another thing, Andrea had to learn to make some time for herself in the middle of her business day maybe, or the morning or the night, where she could prioritize some time for healthy eating or going to the gym, because that was one of her things that was lacking, that she really wanted to bring in to feel more vitality and feel more calm. And as it turns out, she actually attracted more in business, right? Because she was a calmer, better version of herself when she showed up, and that's the energy then that you attract around you. So some of you may have heard of The Secret or the Universal Law of Attraction. And I would guess, so what that means is whatever you think and put awareness on is what you create in your life, it's what you attract. So I would think that all of you being here in this room, at some point you must have recognized yourself as successful. You must have recognized yourself climbing high to some level in business. So putting that same effort in continuing to do that in business, where else do you want to go, how much higher, and what can you do to support yourself in all these other areas of the wheel of life to get you there? Because it's being more grounded that allows you to grow taller, rise higher, right? All right, got 2 steps down. So going on to the 3rd step Now, this is about removing the blocks or obstacles, because some of you right now might be thinking, well, sure, I'd love to do X, but I can't because I have Y. I'd love to do this, I mean, this isn't my dream life, but I can't. So I'm just gonna tell you that right now, if you're doing that in your mind, I get it, because we all can tend to do it, but right now you blocked it. You said, but I'd love to, but I can't. Well, the minute you say I can't, guess what? You can't. So, yeah, it was Henry Ford who said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So, and the universe here says, okay, well, here you go, then you're fine, just as you are. So, looking at and this is sometimes where a coach really is helpful, or a third party of some kind that's talking to someone else about it, because we can't always see how we stand in our own way. Like you've heard this, I'm sure, that we stand in our own way of success. I mean, how true is that? We stop ourselves from having the greatest relationship, the rising higher in career, from having the time for health and fitness, or whatever it is that, you know, matters more to you, areas that you want to make those changes. So now I'll tell you a story. I think it helps to tell stories to kind of illustrate these steps. So another client of mine, Paula, she is a business owner in Atlanta, Georgia. And in working, so she saw a presentation, this one was online. She got in touch with me, had known me a long time ago, and we did our call, and she decided to be excited. She was scared but excited, and she hopped on board and went for it, and we started working together. Well, it wasn't too long that we were looking at what's happening in her day, and she was complaining that she had no time for anything else but work, but she loved her work. Work wasn't going quite as high, you know, in profitability as she had wanted, and she was dedicating everything to it, even though she loved her business. She was very passionate about it, but other things were suffering, and she was stressed out. So I learned very quickly that in certain days she was like traveling back and forth to home, and it was taking a great amount of her time. So we had to look at her daily habits and how she's living, and she had all kinds of excuses, which we all do, as to why this was the way it had to be. So pretty quickly we worked through it and looked at what would happen if she were to actually move into her dream home, which really was part of the dream home anyway, when she looked at life at 90 and where she had lived, and living closer to home, closer to her business. So she and her husband discussed this and figured out everything that they had standing in their way wasn't really necessary, and they actually could. So they're currently on the search for their dream home, living closer to their business. And what's also really powerful about Paula's story is that I've never done any coaching with her husband, and I've never met him. And he said, whatever you're doing, I see it's really working, and with your business coach. And in my life, I'm realizing that I don't know if I've really been happy in what I'm doing in 20 years, in the past 20 years. And so he's coming out looking to make changes just by watching her shine her light. And I think this is really important, because sometimes when you look at making changes in your life, you might feel like it's selfish and it's something that you want that, you know, maybe isn't right for someone else, or your partner or your family, or you might be judged, or they might not go for it. But really, in empowering yourself to live the life that you really want to live, you end up inspiring others around you to do the same. So it becomes even more important for you to live in accordance with your ideal, or in alignment with your ideal vision, because you make the change that you want to see in the world, right? And you make that inspiration for your children, for your partner, for your family, for your friends. Because especially our kids, right? Kids and grandkids, they do what we do. I mean, they don't listen to what we say, but they follow what we do. So to live as that example is really powerful. It's really powerful for them. So anytime that you are looking at the obstacles that stand in your way, I urge you to discuss them either with a coach or with someone else that's an outsider. Really write them down and figure out when there's often all different ways to make things happen and to live the life that you want to live without putting that block in your mind that it's not possible. So, and we get to the fourth step in the process. So the fourth step is really to take action and commit. So this is a big one, because I've worked with a lot of people that can do the first few, and if you don't do number 4, it doesn't work. right? So you can get all, it's kind of like a New Year's resolution. You can get all excited about all the changes you want to make, and yes, I'm going to do it, and I think I'm going to, do this more. But then if you don't get really intimately connected with your why, so I urge you to consider that now. If there's anything in this talk that has come out to you that, yeah, I'd like to see more of that in my life, I urge you to consider how that would impact your life, how that might impact those around you, right? So if you're happier and healthier, how that might impact your company, your children, your partner, your friends, your environment, your community. And then consider, what does it cost you to not make those changes? So we've all seen, sadly, we've all seen people rise in the pursuit of wealth and watch their health diminish, so to later spend their wealth trying to get their health back. And it's a sad, challenging, but it's an important point to make, because stress right now is the #1 cause of illness in our country. And with executives and business owners seeing stress accompany success as they rise, there needs to be a change. It needs to happen somewhere. And this is why I say to you, you're worth it. Like, what does it cost you if you don't? Look at overall fulfillment in all aspects of your life. And we know that there's this body-mind connection. It's like proven in science now. It's looked at in hospitals more and more, that you get a physical manifestation of emotion. And it's often great example is a panic attack. You go to a hospital and they can't really see anything except this rapid heartbeat, but it's a real thing where people feel like they're literally having a heart attack. There's also heart attacks that happen very stress related, and that's one example. It manifests in all different ways in health. So that's why I say that when you consider what it's really costing you to not make changes and how much it matters, like, that's where you find that commitment. So with that, I will talk about one other story of my client, Renee. Renee is a sales executive, actually, and she's in Kansas City. She came to me very stressed out. She said that. She said, I'm a wreck right now, and she didn't want to admit it, just like Andrea, actually. Very driven, successful individuals don't want to say they want help. It's really common. But we couldn't run our businesses alone either, right? So Renee was quite honestly taking medications for anxiety and depression. She'd come home at night, have 1 to 2 to 3 cocktails pretty much every night, and she was just trying to get through it, right? But she was doing really well. She's making tons of money. She's at the top of a company, et cetera. But it really was breaking her heart too that she knew she was being short with her kids, and she said, "I'm coming to you because I want to change my career. I want to get out of it, and that's going to be our end game. We're going to do it." So she saw a presentation, booked a call, we have this talk. I said, let's do it. So we get in, we start working together, and it was only 2 to 3 months into it. And Renee started, I want to tell you what happened with her. She really didn't like her boss, and sometimes this happens with people we work with. And so what she had to do also was take accountability for what her part was in it, and realize that perhaps it was also how she was speaking to him, not just how he was speaking to her, that was, igniting that. And this is a big thing, because we often think we're doing great in communication. We don't even realize it, because we're speaking from emotion a lot. So with our work together, she started changing her mornings from being, again, stressed out, busy, where Renee started waking up 30 minutes earlier. I think this is a great practice for anyone rising in success. Wake up 30 minutes earlier and let the day come to you instead of rushing into the day. It's a completely different start to your day. She now would wake up and she started the practice of meditation. I highly recommend meditation. She would do guided meditation, and oftentimes either morning or another time in her day or evening, I would give her journaling exercises, so she'd get into journaling. And what this did for her is it helped her to learn about what she really wanted, who she really was, where she was at in life. And Renee started with me in July, so here we are now, and I give you a snapshot of her life now. She's had several other career opportunities. She's not left her company. She realizes she has the best opportunity, and she gets along great with her boss now. And she did this by implementing all these changes. She made extreme, I would say, relationship changes with her husband, and she is now really notices a complete difference in how her kids even act towards her and how her kids are around the house. But it was this commitment to recognize that there was something that wasn't working in her life, right? So this is where you get the commitment, that's number 4 in this step. And it's hard, because none of us want to look at what's not working. We want to say, we're doing great, everything's working. But if you really recognize, this might sound a bit more female, but we all have masculine and female in us, right? The logical male analytical side and the female nurturing side, that's just psychology. So we all have at different points part of us that could be like the damsel in distress. So recognizing that there is actually some part of you that's suffering and not working, you get to then develop the hero. So you get to be the hero to really come in and kind of save yourself in this. Because that damsel is there, even if you don't want to listen. So that's what happens. So we get caught up in the analytical brain and everything's fine, I'm going to keep it going, but the heart isn't being heard, and the heart is suffering. When the heart is suffering with messages that you're not listening to, it does manifest in the physical body, and it does come out in other ways, whether it's in your health, in your relationships, in your life. So it's so important to really say, there is something I need help with, or there is some part of me that I'm going to tend to. I'm going to be the hero and tend to this part of me. So, because my life is worth it. My life is worth it, my family's worth it. My kids are worth it. My employees are worth it. You can be the best for everyone around you. So, with that, I will urge you to, actually I'm going to leave you with one final story, kind of about myself. So, as Scott mentioned, I'm also into yoga, and I took all this time traveling around the world and studying yoga, and I teach teachers yoga, and it's really the ethics and philosophy behind it that I started applying to business, because I had these 15 years in corporate America, and then I had another 10, 15 years in Eastern, and I've kind of combined them. So really over the last 10 years, though, I've guided hundreds of entrepreneurs and working professionals to find greater fulfillment in their life and to rise higher and remove those obstacles that were getting in their way. But to this day, when I go to a yoga class, I love I know the poses, right? I've studied it, I teach teachers, but I love when a yoga teacher actually comes and adjusts me, because I don't know I'm doing this or this. It might sound silly, but when someone really knows their craft, they can see things in our life that we can't. So realizing that all of us might have a desire or a need for help and support or guidance or coaching, whatever it is that that can help you to make that life wheel even bigger and more balanced, right? So I will leave you with this. Picture a day when you live fulfilled in all aspects of life. And your body is where you want it to be, your bank account is secure, and you have time for your family, your partners, and your loved ones. Picture a day when you live life successfully on your own terms. Picture a day when your heart is full, knowing that you feel loved and you are living life in the home you want to be in, vacationing to where you want, and really that you have done this work to get exactly where you want to be in your life, because you deserve to live your dream life. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Scott, you're the recommended juror. Has she done some things for you and Carmen, or how do you know?
She could do a lot for me, but it's a personal friend, so I'm not comfortable with.
Okay.
Tara's done a lot for me. I started seeing Tara because I was having a lot of anxiety, terrible anxiety, and the therapist I was with told me, he said, Carmen, you have to learn how to breathe. You need to start doing yoga. And so that's how I found Tara. I started doing yoga with her, and then I hired her for life coaching. And she not only has helped change my life, but I watch her and the impact she has on hundreds of women's lives. I mean, truly amazing, life-changing things happen with this work, and it's so very important. You don't know what you don't know. You know, you can't look at You can never look inside of yourself the way that someone else can look at it for you. The first time we did life coaching together, not the very first time, but one of the times that we were doing life coaching, we were having a yoga retreat at our house. And she and I were talking, I really was ready to punch her. I was combative about it. It was, do I have anxiety? I'm like, well, yes, I do have anxiety. I'm like, I'm fighting her. And you know what? In the aha moment when she keeps asking the question to you, is you finally realize that, you know what, that's my story. That's just what I've been telling myself and everybody else who will listen to me. That's not who I am. That's just something that I had. And that moment changed my life. And not only did it change my life with just that one moment, but in all other, there's always work to be done. I will forever do this work for myself and for the people that I love, because it's that important. We always have things.
Thank you.
That was way better than my answer.
Well, I think that you forget, we have become friends, but I met them because Carmen came to me as a client, so they were, not they, but she was a client first, yeah.
Mhm.
And then after years of working together, she got more involved in the work with me as we did more retreats, and over time we became friends.
So you've made my life better through her.
I would say that Scott has had a lot of life coaching, he just didn't know he was having it. We'll just leave it there. Tara's helped him greatly too.
So I should tell you, I did leave the extra sheet on. I would love for you to fill that out, even if you don't want to do a call. If you do, it's a free call consultation. I would love to talk to each of you personally. It's 45 minutes or less, but to change the trajectory of the rest of your life, I hope the 45 minutes is worth it, because things can come up, and no matter what, you'll get clarity and a roadmap on how to move forward on that free call. But even if you don't, you can fill out your name and email and hand it back to me, and I can stay in touch with you. So I would love to be able to stay in touch with all of you. So if you do that, that'd be great.